Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1639. The topic is nutrition and the title is Overeating versus Undereating. Which is worse? Oh no. So what this kind of came from was a client. They kind of ghosted me for a little bit. They just basically disappeared for like a little over 2 weeks. And it was like, oh no, what's going on, And so they returned to communication and told me what had been going on. And then they asked my advice. Here, what happened was they had an emergency trip they had to go on. So we'll just skip all the details and just say it was an emergency trip. And during the trip, they weren't sure what to do. They didn't know if they'd be able to train or not. They didn't know what their activity was going to look like. They really didn't know anything. So for 2 weeks, they didn't know what was happening, didn't know what to do. So they underate. They didn't really track what they were doing, but they know for certain they underate because they didn't want to eat at breakfast because they feel like they weren't doing much. They didn't really need the breakfast. Then they weren't eating anything during the day because they were super busy with things. Then they tried to eat at night. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't, but they were afraid to overeat at night, so they purposely underate. And it was just like, oh my gosh. So I felt so bad for them because probably the entire time they were freaking out and were uncertain what to do. But they had kind of the fear of gaining body fat. So they severely underate. And then they asked, what would you do if you were in that position? So I want to share some advice I gave them and then just kind of talk through. So I wrote, in general, we can correct overeating, but we can't do much with undereating. If you overeat, you can just move more and burn it off. Or if you're under-recovered from aggressive training, and most people I work with, we push their training not to the point where they're going to be under-recovered, but to where if they were to have an extra day off randomly or they eat a little extra food, not going to be the end of the world. So we're kind of skirting right on that edge where their joints are always safe. Knock on wood, I don't have clients have injuries, but they're always going to be kind of like we're pushing to see what we can do. We're going to stay on the side of safe, but what I'm really hedging my bets on and what I'm trying to say is I make sure that if they have some extra food here or there, or they have an extra day off, it's not going to hurt them. They could probably use the extra food or they could probably use the extra day to recover. Not going to be the end of the world. So that was kind of what I was sharing was if they're coming out of a time of normal training, and this person trains pretty aggressively actually, like really high frequency, pretty high volume, the extra calories, if they were to overeat, they would just help go towards kind of muscle repair, maybe some joint repair that hasn't been happening, to a full extent. And it also helps contribute towards keeping their metabolism kind of at maximal speed. So overeating, the body can use some of the excess, and it kind of keeps everything moving and grooving. But if we undereat, and especially if you chronic undereat, 2 full weeks or more, if you undereat, your body adjusts by reducing caloric usage. So it tries to use less calories per day. And it primes itself to save future excesses at meals as newly formed body fat. So it'll say, oh my gosh, I'm not getting enough food. I'm not getting enough food. I'm not getting enough food. Then all of a sudden when you eat, it says, oh, I'm going to save all this food. And we're like, oh crap, that's not what I want, right? So if you undereat, your body tries to burn less calories and it prepares itself to form new body fat. And you can't really correct that. You can correct it in a perfect world. You would reintroduce your next meals at controlled increasing manners of calories. So you might have your next meal, maybe only 80% of what you'd normally have, not give the body too much momentary excess at the time of consumption. And then the next meal, you might go to 90%, the next meal 100%. So you would kind of ease your way back into calories, like normal calories. But anytime you consume a meal, there's a momentary surplus. So you would have to be very controlled at each meal to ensure the minimal amount of momentary surplus while still increasing the calories back to where they should have been. So it's pretty challenging. So overeating the excess gets used up, and or you can just add extra activity. So they actually did turn out that they could have, gone for some 10-minute walks. They could have actually done some things here or there. Their days were kind of busy, but they weren't packed. It was moments of busy, then moments of sitting around doing nothing. So they could have gone for some 10-minute walks. So if they felt like, or if they were worried that they were overeating, they could have just gone for an extra walk, in the day, or an extra walk or two. Whereas undereating, we risk the metabolism slowing down, the body trying to use less. We risk increased fat storage response. And it also, while your body's being underfed, it reduces body fat utilization as fuel. So the body actually slows down the fat loss process. So if you're uncertain as to what to do, it's better to eat more, to overeat, make it high protein. Whatever calories you consume, make at least 33% of those calories protein, maybe even more. So make it, good amount of protein, because protein can be used to repair tissues, and it does a lot of beneficial things for us. And so does, fats have some usage for us, but carbs are mostly just for energy. So fats and carbs are more like energy nutrients, whereas protein is a repair nutrient, like a maintenance nutrient. So if you're going to eat more, eating more protein ensures that you're not eating excessive amounts of carbs and fats, which we don't really need if our energy isn't very high. So if you're uncertain as to what to do, eat more, but make it high protein, at least 33% of what you eat, make it protein. But eating more is actually better than eating less. So overeating is better than undereating. That sounds crazy, because most people think they're overweight from overeating, but you're actually overweight from inconsistent eating. Most people have higher body fat than what they want due to inconsistent eating, not overeating. So we talked about this in a relatively recent podcast, number 1615. It's a nutrition podcast titled Why Are You Overweight? Inconsistent Eating versus Overeating. So you can check out that podcast. It's a really good one. But that's kind of the issue, is most people are afraid of overeating because they think that'll cause body fat formation. When actually what's causing most people to have the body fat they don't want is inconsistent eating, which comes from periods of undereating. So undereating is actually more detrimental than overeating for most people. That sounds, again, crazy, and it sounds like you're going to be like, this guy's full of crap. But it's true, So, I've been doing this forever. I have a lot of degrees. I have a master's in nutrition. I have a lot of certifications. I've worked with over 3,000 people. I've helped people get IFBB Pro cards, drug-tested Pro cards. I have helped people get, sub 10% body fat, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. I've had over 3,000 clients. I used to teach exercise physiology and weight training stuff at university level. So I know what I'm doing. And although it sounds like crazy advice, it's true that for most people, under eating and doing it in some way every day or multiple times a week, this inconsistency of eating, this that's created from under eating, periods of under eating, that's what's causing the problem for most people. So if you don't know what to do, so say you're hungry and you're like, crap, I'm kind of at the top of my macros. I'm really freaking hungry. I've been hungry for a couple days. I'm just tired. I'm worn out. I want food. And I feel like if I don't get food, I'm going to just snap. I'm either going to mentally go nuts and eat everything in the house, or I'm just going to be super frustrated and just quit everything, quit my diet and everything. Well, then eat. If you're hungry, eat. Make what you eat high protein. Again, at least 33% of the calories should be from protein, even more. But make it be high protein. I've had some clients, I'll eat some ham and eggs before you go to bed. Eat some cottage cheese before you go to bed. It's not the most exciting food, but it can help calm some hunger. I actually use this, now I can't remember the name of it, but it's from Species Nutrition. They have this chocolate protein powder that when you add water, it makes like pudding. It's actually really good. But that's actually really good. And that's something you can eat at night, really high protein content. And it's pretty filling actually for just 30-40 grams of protein. But you can eat more if you're super hungry. Just make it high protein percentage. Or let's say you're out and about and you don't know what to do. You're at a restaurant, you're at a party, you've just had a bunch of crap you had to do all day, so you've been running errands. You're just not sure what to do. Well, eat. Eat, eat, eat. Please eat. Take your best guess as to what would be a normal kind of portion sizes for your meals. Make sure you have some protein items in there, like things that you know are high in protein. But don't skip the meal. Eat some food. It's better to have one slice of pizza than no food at all. It's better to have a Snickers bar than no food at all. It's better to eat something than nothing. That will often lead to much better long-term results. It's better to eat something and risk overeating than it is to eat nothing and absolutely definitely be undereating. So if I had to pick, I would pick to eat something even if I was at the risk of overeating. That would be the answer. That's what you should do. So eat when you're supposed to eat. Try to eat what you think are the best foods to eat. Make sure they're high in protein, but eat. It is better to potentially overeat than it is to absolutely know that you're undereating. Okay. So I thought that would be helpful. It might be a little controversial, but it is true. You'll just have to trust me on it, but try it. Over the next month, if you have times where you're like, oh crap, I normally would skip my meals, don't skip the meal, eat something. Try to eat like a controlled amount, make sure it's high protein, but eat something. Rather than eating nothing, eat something. And what you'll find is you're going to feel a lot better. Better energy, better mood. You're actually going to look better. You're going to have less water retention. You're going to have yet less cravings, intense cravings. You're going to have better quality of training, better overall energy, to be active during the day. Everything's just going to go a little bit better for you. And it won't hold back your fat loss. If anything, you'll actually gain more muscle and look even leaner. Okay? So, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, brutalironjim@gmail.com. But hopefully this helps answer that question. Overeating versus undereating, which is worse? Undereating is worse. Absolutely, without a doubt. Cool. Okay, well, thank you for listening. If you want any help with nutrition education, nutrition coaching, we do have our one-on-one coaching service, which is only $100 a month for nutrition. And then if you want to do the training and nutrition combined, everything being personalized, written specific for your needs, that's $200 a month. And we have our live monthly programming service, which is only $50 a month, where you get programming based on your goal, and then you get to ask me any questions you want, including nutrition questions, absolutely included in the service, and I'll answer them every single week. So one-on-one questions, Q&A, ask anything you want, get an answer every single week, and then you pick your programming based on a goal. That's only $50 a month. So we're trying to do different services at different prices so people can always get some help. I always want you to be able to get some help if you want some help. We do the podcast for free, and then I try to do different prices that have different degrees of personalization in their help. But if you need anything, I'm always here. You don't have to pay me a dime. Just shoot me an email, let me know what you're going through, and I'll help you with some advice. Okay? Cool. Well, if you need anything, email me at brutalironjim@gmail.com. If you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share the podcast with, the more people we can help with the podcast. That's the whole point, just help people live their healthiest and happiest life. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. It does have a high hosting cost every year. I give time to this thing every single day. I really genuinely appreciate the donations. They help immensely. Thank you very, very much. If you want to donate, you can do that on our website. You can give, even just $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can give. I greatly appreciate it. It goes directly towards all the costs, and it's appreciated. I think I said that like 7 times. So thank you very much. And then if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can always find more from us on our social media. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful. And thank you for listening.